Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good evening and welcome today, December 9th, 2024, to this Board of Public Works meeting held at the Francis Huntley Cooper Council Chambers. Tonight we have our full quorum here. Kim is here, Dave, myself, Bill, and Don, and our Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, PE, is in the chambers with us also. I do not believe we have anyone here for other public appearances for non-agenda items. So we'll move to agenda item 3, approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the December 2nd meeting minutes?
I'll move to approve the December 2nd meeting minutes.
Moved by Kim Lobdell. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dave Wellborn. Corrections, changes, comments? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are passed. Next, we have the report from Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, PE.
Thank you. Just a couple follow-up items from our last meeting last week, Monday, December 2nd, 2024. The first item was the Water Tower D McGuire Iron Incorporated bid. There was a question on bid item number 2, which was for the access and security control system. McGuire had listed $80,000, which was an error. That line item was actually a cash allowance bid item, so it was supposed to be $8,000. They included one extra zero. So the total bid is going to be $72,000 less. So instead of $4,088,000, it's $4,016,000, and then that $72,000 will just be allocated towards contingency for the project, since we were kind of low with contingency at 5%. So the overall purchase order will remain at the $4,292,400. But like I mentioned, the contingency is just going to be increased due to the decrease in that line item.
Don, you may have earned your salary.
Yeah.
The second item, follow-up item from last meeting, was regarding the sidewalk project. Notification letters were mailed out last week, Wednesday, December 4th, notifying property owners that the sidewalk project will be completed in spring 2025. We mailed it out to all impacted property owners on that project, so even if their sidewalk did get completed, we included a letter to them, just because the letter also notified that the final assessment hearing will be held after the project has been completed, just so that they're aware it's going to be happening later in 2025. And then next item is the groove pavement signs on Osmondson Road. I spoke to Mark Hodel, our streets maintenance supervisor. He'll look to install those signs on an adjacent street pole. So, kind of as their schedule allows. So within the next week or two, that'll kind of help with the snow plowing purposes along that road, but still allow us to keep the signs up and notify the traffic just of the groove pavement condition. And then next up is the standing water on the multi-use path in Highfield Reserve. Ben Schulte, our environmental senior project engineer, investigated it. He noticed a small area on the south side of the path where it appears the adjacent ground is about an inch or so lower. I guess, Alder Jesser, you were the one that kind of brought up that area. Are you seeing water standing along the edge, or do you have any pictures maybe that you could forward us?
I'm not sure whether I've taken any pictures,
Okay.
but I may have, and I will forward them. But it has been water standing on the trail or like running all the way across the width of the trail.
Okay. I'll, yeah.
But again,
if you have
the site was under construction, so I
Yeah.
don't know whether that probably plays into it.
Sure. We'll kind of keep an eye on it, but if you do have any pictures, feel free to send them to us. We'll monitor it when it rains and go out and kind of see it, and we can also survey it and take a closer look. And then next item up is the electric service for that Lacey Road streetlight and RRFB. There was an agenda item on last meeting regarding the easement for that, and during the discussion, the cost of the electric service came up. And at this time, we don't have a cost yet for that. We'll find out. Typically how MG&E does it is once the easement's recorded, they'll send us a cost for that work. So before they even schedule the work, we'll have to cut a check and pay for it. So we'll be able to closely monitor the cost before it starts. Just kind of for order of magnitude costs, the electric service we put in on the west side of that project was about $6,000. So this is about twice as long. So you can kind of expect maybe about 12 to 15,000 around ballpark figure at this time. Once I get a more concrete cost from them, I can update the board at that time. And then lastly, the Williamsburg Way discussion happened about speeding along there. Ross reached out to the police department to see availability about using a temporary speed board to put up. So once we hear back from them, I'll update the board on kind of the dates on when we'll put that up and how long it'll be up for. With that, does anyone have any questions?
Since you didn't mention it, I suppose you're still waiting for a meeting with the developer of Uptown Crossing regarding the sidewalks?
I sent another email this morning requesting a phone call to discuss that. I also received a phone call from the gentleman that showed up at the public hearing, so I'll update him once I have a scheduled meeting with Veridian to discuss that. So still waiting to hear back.
Get about it, but we won't. All right. Anything else? Tim, thank you for this, for the follow-up on all these. There was a lot of things. I had two things. One is I was at one of our clients. We were at a meeting, and we were doing an upgrade on their cybersecurity to access these devices that we have to call in electric substations, and they indicated that the water systems people are trying, the bad guys are trying to get into the water systems. And so I just wanted to mention that. I don't know if you guys have a policy to be changing your passwords on that system for access. I suspect you don't have an answer right now, but maybe you and Tracy can think about that.
We've had discussions with Nick, the IT director for the city, and SCADA and security, obviously, with all that's out there regarding water systems and, the security of the systems and potential hackers hacking into it, that we've had those conversations.
Can shut our system down, even make it difficult to operate manually.
Yes.
If they get into the system. And second thing I'd like to ask you about, I keep coming back to Williamsburg Way, a neighbor indicated there's an intersection of Williamsburg Way and Valley Forge, and I'm quite sure it's the most ignored stop sign in the country. Anytime I go by there, there's a number of roll-throughs, there's usually some just blow-throughs, and one of the neighbors that lived there, she said, would it possible we could put a flashing light on that stop sign? And I said, well, I'll have Tim talk to Ross. You know, I don't know if a solar one or there's a street light there. It might not be too much to get service to the stop sign, you know, but I think we kind of need it on both sides of the intersection. So just mention that to him, or let me know what you guys think of that. You know, I can have the police sit there and they'll write tickets like crazy, but then, you know, they're gone, and 4 hours later it's the same thing going on. And I think maybe it's just a point where we have to make it more visible, I guess. Or maybe I sit there with a paint gun and I shoot them when they run through it. I don't know.
Yeah, I can discuss that with Ross and update you at the next.
Let me know what you guys think. That was one, you know, a neighbor suggested that to me, and I thought, well, maybe there is some merit to that flashing light, especially at night. It's not lit that well, and people unfamiliar might just be blowing through it because they don't know. Yes, Bill.
I'll put in a plug for the red retro reflective sticker that got put on the pole on Raritan at Pembroke. That is surprisingly
Effective.
Okay.
I mean, it stands out almost more than the stop sign above it.
Okay, good. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Appreciate that input. You don't need any more on your list, but
Do you want me to update you through email or just at our next Board of Public
next
Works
Board
meeting?
of Public Works
Sure.
would be fine. Thank you. All right, then let's move on to our agenda item. We have 5A, Resolution R 18124, approving an agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Jamestown Quarry. This was postponed from November 26th and I think from December 2nd. So do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve R 18124.
Moved by Don, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kim. So, Tim, you indicated the last time they were working on agreements with the county for the intersection, and that got all in. That got in place, and we've had time to look at it now. Is there anything else you want to add on it?
Just to state that the plat was conditionally approved back on September 24th, 2024. So our land division ordinance requires the execution of a contract for public improvements prior to the signature of that plat by the city clerk. And really, this subdivision improvement agreement, how it differs from our normal standard one is essentially there's a lot of work going on off McKee and Fitchburg roads, especially with the signals and turn lane improvements. So it'd be page 2 of section 1 of the agreement, paragraph 3, the signals, which is looks like page 2 of the actual agreement, the bottom paragraph, and then the turn lanes on page 3. So I guess if you guys had any specific improvements, I can kind of go over specifically bring up a map to show everyone if that helps.
Could you do that, please? Yes. It'd be appropriate.
So here's a map and McKee roads along the bottom.
Yep.
And then Fitch-Rona heading north. And essentially what all the blue font is the improvements. So if you're heading eastbound on McKee Road, currently there's one left turn lane there. So that turn lane, existing turn lane, would be extended to 375 feet. And then a second left turn lane to head north onto Fitch-Rona would be constructed. And then if you're heading westbound on McKee Road, they have a driveway kind of coming off the west property line, and there'd just be a right in there. And there's no median cut. So just a right into that driveway and a right out. And then site driveway number 4 for their site, and this is for the 4 lots that are going in along McKee Road here. One lot's going to be a McDonald's, a Chick-fil-A, a bank, and then a car wash. So the driveway coming off Fitch-Rona Road, you would have a 50-foot left turn lane there. Then you would have a through and then a right. And then as you come down, heading south on Fitch-Rona, as you approach the McKee Road intersection, you would have 2 left-hand turn lanes at 330 feet.
Okay. That that new stoplight, that'll be the kind of the access into those businesses from the back.
Yes, so there would be a traffic signal being installed at their driveway coming off of Fitch-Rona Road. And then we would look to also realign the driveway to the east for the infield development. Currently, it's a little farther north, so we'd look to shift that to the south to align the two at the traffic signal. And then site driveway 3 would not be constructed until the outlot parcel comes along for development. So kind of the site driveway number 2 and site driveway number 3 would not be constructed until that outlot portion is constructed. And then site driveway number 1 up here, that would get constructed with the multifamily project going in, which is 273 units.
Okay.
So do you know what the different distances between the 2 signals, the one at Fitch-Rona and McKee, and then the one at site driveway 4 in Fitch-Rona?
Yeah, it's over 500 feet, I want to say. I can pull up an email to see.
Google Maps shows roughly the center of McKee to the existing infield driveway at about 550 feet.
But didn't you say you were going to move the existing infield driveway to line up, so it would be closer than that?
It would be closer than that. And that was what we analyzed very closely with the county to take a look at that to make sure that there wasn't, it wouldn't stack up and impact the new traffic signal going into the north on Fitch-Rona. So hence the reason you have 2 left turn lanes there too to help alleviate that.
But they're 300 and I don't know, 30 feet, 300 and whatever feet long?
Yeah,
So it's the left turn lanes are going to go almost as far as the signal.
Close, yep.
It's going to be a little bit difficult to get into when I guess there's only one right turn coming out of there. So.
Tim, I can't tell, is there an improvement at CAPEC and Fitch-Rona down at the bottom of the hill, or that's just come up farther right?
CAPEC and Fitch-Rona up at the
CAPEC
top,
and
north?
Fitch-Rona.
Here? No,
That's existing, I think, isn't it?
correct. That's just showing the existing condition.
Okay.
It's in black.
So you're expecting most of the traffic to come in that's using site driveway 4 to come obviously off of McKee, and almost everybody that's coming out would also be going to McKee rather than going around Fitch-Rona and headed off to the north?
Yes. And then there is also site driveway 5, which I mentioned too. So they, if you're heading west on McKee, that would be the.
Will site driveway 5 and site driveway 4 connect?
Yes.
Okay. because it doesn't show that on here. So if you could go take that right turn in and come in this way and then come down to those developments.
Correct.
So there's no, on McKee Road, there's no left turn into a site driveway, number 5?
No, he said there was no median opening.
Yeah,
there.
no median opening.
That's what I thought.
Just
Okay.
due to safety.
Oh, yeah, it shows the arrows there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you have a threshold based on the safety? I think you way underestimate the 100 turn movements that you're going to have there, and you're right on a crest. So if people are going to fly past Fitchburg
I don't think that's
Road-
100 turn movements. I think that, is that 100 foot
Feet.
right lane?
Those represent
That-
distances.
Yeah,
The
it's not
distance?
number of
Oh,
cars.
100
It's
foot, okay.
100 foot, yeah.
Oh, so you don't know the turn movement. I think you're going to have a lot of people coming in and out of there. That's going to be a safety problem with that crest hill, that you should just eliminate it. You don't need it. They don't need it
Eliminate
for their
what?
development. That site drive 5, they don't need it for their development. You want them to come in and out on Fitchburg and not squirt out in and out on that side road.
Don't you think you'd want that, Don, so some people could get out there without, those businesses, they exit and just heading that direction without,
I don't know what the
Through the-
TIA
having to go through the
said,
light?
but my
Yeah.
guess is the TIA way underestimates your turn movement that you're going to have there going right. And if people flying, which they do now on McKee at a faster speed, and you have a crest hill, and then they're slamming on their brakes to quick turn, we're going to start having a lot of rear end crashes there.
It's a confusing intersection already because of the 2 lanes going into the Target development, and one of them is a little bit offset, so sometimes people are in that second left turn lane and then they go straight. And the other 2 lanes, because they're offset a little bit, I've been at that intersection several times wanting to go straight through, and the person in the left turn lane next to me goes straight rather than turning into the Target, because it looks like they're lined up with going straight because of its being offset.
Yeah, and that's one of the comments the county had. So the drawings, and that you'll see that here's condition H, and that's what this is supposed to address, is design the southbound and northbound left-only turn lanes on Fitchburg Road for side driveway number 4 and the infield driveway as close to neutral offset as possible by minimizing the median width. So it's looking to align the Target side of it and also the north Fitchburg side to more closely align that intersection due to what you just mentioned.
I don't know how much traffic is projected to come south on Fitchburg and head west on McKee, but if you've got driveway 4 and 5 connected, are people going to rat run that?
Yeah. What do you mean by rat run?
Avoid the intersection of Fitchburg and McKee, and instead treat those driveways as a through street, just to get westbound on McKee.
sure they will. Maybe speed bumps would be a way to mitigate that.
So if you're
I
heading
think you're very
southbound
astute.
on
Yeah.
Fitchburg, you make a right into the development to get around
If the
the
light is red.
intersection at McKee and Fitchburg.
If the
Right.
light is red as you're pulling up to it,
Yeah.
it might,
Yeah, there is that possibility.
but it might not be a bad idea for them to put the speed reducing humps, in there on those driveways.
They'll all go the other way and come past your house.
Everyone goes by my house anyway.
I just think it's human nature. You don't want to wait for signals, especially if they're going to back up with people coming out. You're going to come off that turn, then you're going to go whatever the nearest road is, Dorchester or something, and you're going to make a U-turn and then fly back the other way.
Oh, really? No,
Yep.
I don't.
Michigan left.
Yep, Michigan left.
Oh, you gotta go down there quite a ways to do that.
Not too far down. Just down at the bottom of the hill. You turn.
You gotta go all.
Manchester?
It might be. I'm thinking it's Dorchester. I don't
Oh,
know.
Dorchester. It's
Yeah, I
I
think-
think you're right, it's Dorchester.
I think they would go. I think they might go back down Fitchburg and all the way to back to 18151 possibly.
It depends. Again, I don't know as TIA where they're getting most of the volume coming from. But again, Verona Road, is generating lots of through traffic, not local traffic. So if I'm just coming, I'm stopping for gas at Quick Trip, I'm stopping for fuel or food, and I'm buzzing right back on Verona Road, quick as I can. So.
Yeah, you can't do that from Quick Trip though.
No, but if you go to Quick Trip and then come back out and then come down here and get something to eat, and then you want to turn and go back to Verona
then you
Road.
do your UE and jump right back on Verona.
Yeah.
You can't go east.
Most people go up. They'll go up to the road below the hill below Aldi there, and that's where they'll do the UE, or they'll pull into that and turn around and then come back down. I kind of doubt they'd go all the way to Dorchester, Don, but
they'll do funky stuff. I don't know in your TIA if that's going to blow up the site for the developer if you just eliminate that driveway.
Yeah.
I think you eliminate the driveway and you'll be fine. I'm not sure if you're wed into that or the developer was absolute saying they had to have it.
I'm sure they were, because when you work with developers, they always want at least a right in and right out.
Well, I think with the next lot development, the outlot Tim was saying that would tie in with that, but that remains to be seen what that's going to be. They're still working on that.
I'm still a little concerned with how close those left turn lanes and even the right turn lane are between the two signals. If the driveway now is 550 feet and you're moving it further to the south, I mean, I don't know how far, 75 feet or 150 feet or whatever it's pretty much, I don't, if you don't have the turn lanes going all the way to the intersection, then it's like, if it's two lanes coming out of there, I guess, having to get over to the left turn lane that they want, I don't know.
The infield, the infield driveway, and up in the air, how long until he.
But did Bill say there is already a driveway there?
There's one. It's a construction driveway,
Yeah.
and they're not.
It's gravel only.
Yeah, they're not using that. It's during peak hours, at rush hour. No, they're not using that. They're most of their inlets and outlets are down at the bottom. But eventually the production part of that will be redeveloped whenever.
Who's the developer on that project?
Jeff Huntley. Yeah, Jeff Huntley. Eventually, I think Bob Shea will sell the lower portion too. But right now, it's such a productive location for supplying concrete to the area. You not far, it's 5 miles from everything. It's compared to, I think he could get it in a better location, but his time to deliver the concrete and everything, the location is just so prime for that business. We would like it moved out of there, but that's his. It'll be his decision.
This is where the existing driveway is, and so I guess it isn't a significant movement to the south.
No, it's not. It looks less than 50 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not a significant move.
Yeah.
It's just to realign it with.
Can you move your screen up a little bit? I just wanted to see how coming out of that intersection, if you're coming eastbound on site driveway 4, you have a left turn lane, and then you only have one lane that is like right. And when you turn right, then all of a sudden you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lanes to pick from.
Yeah, so there's a heading south on Fitch-Rona coming out of site driveway number 4. There's a right turn, 2 throughs, and 2 lefts.
Okay. And it looks like it's right at the intersection that the right turn lane starts and both lefts. So you're going to have 5 lanes going south there coming out of one right turn lane. Or a through in a right turn lane. So I know that's something you might want to think about and it could be down the road too, when that driveway lines up. If you have a through and a right, if you've got one person that wants to go through and 100 people that want to go right, they're all going to be sitting there waiting for that one person at the signal, whereas if you went right, you could do a right turn on red. But if there's one person blocking that going straight through there, you're going to have a long backup on site driveway 4, whatever the street name is going to be. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, Kim. I do. The dynamics will change there. You know, the majority of the time I'm through there probably almost every day, and majority of the time there's almost no traffic.
Yeah, but there's no development right now either.
no development,
So you
but
get
at
227 multifamily apartments on the north end
keep
of
in
that.
mind there was nothing there, and then Orchard Point was built. you
Yeah.
know, And it's a cut through. It's a cut through. It's a shortcut into Madison, and it's really only at rush hour that that's real busy. Or right now in December, with the shopping, it's kind of busy. But right now it's only a couple hours a day is so much traffic there. But that will change. You are correct.
So Tim, I take it, you'd have to reject the whole thing if you want them to tweak any of this. If you wanted to take that driveway out and you wanted to move the signal a little farther away, they would say, nope, can't do it? Or is it something we just ask them to say, hey, this is what we're planning on doing?
Well, the driveway's been coordinated with the county and all that, so we would have to go back to the county, and the preliminary plat has been approved back in September. Well, what's the concern with site driveway number 5?
5, I think, is going to be a safety problem for us in the future.
How so?
Just like I mentioned, you're going to have people making U-turns down there. They're going to be slamming on their brake to make their turn to get in the Hardee's or whatever it is.
Why? It's a dedicated right turn going in there.
I understand, but you got to make them go through 2 stop signs to get back out. And once they see cars backing up, they're going to take that right turn, go down west a little ways, do a U-turn, and come back out. Again, you got to crest hill.
How are they doing a U-turn?
At Dorchester.
Yeah, pull up the map.
They'll go down to Dorchester and fly around and come back the other way because you don't have a median opening there. You're also, like I said, you're on the crest of the hill, either on it or just beyond it. So you got a vision problem there. I'm surprised the county didn't jump all over that. They're usually ones that say don't do it anywhere where you got a vision problem. But anyhow,
a quarter mile from driveway 5.
Yeah, I don't
Dorchester.
think they need it for their development at all. So it's not useful. I like moving that signal too down on Fitzroy Road to help with all that growth and development that's going to come up there because they are going to be starting to back up on there. And then that's when they find their alternate routes to whatever you call it, the bypass signals. I'm not a fan of it, so that's why I keep hammering on it. I've had too many cases where we're building on a 4-lane highway and we build to add an extra driveway that it just ends up being a safety problem. But I like the signal on there because you're going to have to put one down on the other way on Fitzroy. Because right now you got a lot of turn movement into Target and cutting across the Hy-Vee and trying to make left turns there. I'm surprised we don't have crashes there now with that close proximity.
There are some there.
Yeah. So that should be signalized, but it's way too close.
It's way too close.
Yeah, they have one just further down at the Hy-Vee entrance because of that. The problem with that driveway going into that Target there is narrow. And so if somebody's coming out, if they're not way hugging to the right, they're sort of in the middle. The people that are coming south on Fitzroy Road can't even turn into there because it's not a very wide driveway. But they can go down to the signal and get in. But nobody does that wants to go to that strip mall that's right up against McKee. They want to turn right in there and get in there. But there's a lot of traffic there, but it's, I guess the uses that you're allowing to be put in there generate a lot of traffic. So in order for those businesses to succeed, they're going to need a lot of traffic or they're not going to succeed. So I guess you just have to be careful that you're handling it right And driveway widths, I mean, are your site driveways like 4 and 5, are they actually going to be designed to street configurations or driveway configurations? Because I think that's the problem with the first right turn coming southbound from McKee, turning into that, is it was designed as a driveway configuration and not as a street configuration.
Yeah, that's something we can look at once the plans come in closely to make sure that does happen.
I would imagine they'd probably be designed to street standards because all the access points for those businesses are going to be off of that. And it's not right into a parking lot. And if it does connect to, if that site driveway 5 stays and they connect in between those, they're going to have to be street configurations.
I think you're right. Back to, I agree with you. Businesses are going to go there. You know, the access is the key to a business being successful, or it's death. And the better the access, the better the businesses can do. But I also hear Don saying, you know, the last thing I want is someone getting killed, but we can't prepare for every contingency.
Is there a left turn lane on McKee at Dorchester? I mean, because, you know, a lot of people do U-turns right now. Yeah, okay. I was just wondering what the length of that, isn't it? Because a lot of people do U-turns right now between Fitch-Rona and K-Pac and those kind of things. Yeah, so it's a pretty long left turn lane. So, I mean, actually would facilitate U-turns, they would be able to do a U-turn there because a lot of people do them the other way. And during the most part of the day, it's not a problem. You know, people can get there. $100 feet, 150 feet?
Yeah, 150 feet.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks like about 150 because of car length. So, is that driveway that's shown there now, Tim, is that the same location as they're proposing for that site driveway 5?
I believe so, so I can measure that.
Yeah, that was just the old quarry egress there.
Are they, if it becomes...
It's about 1,000 feet.
1,000? So if it becomes a road, are they going to take it through that tree area to connect to site driveway 4? I mean, hopefully it wouldn't do like what it shows now with a quick thing and then getting back in.
I think the plat that's later in here showed it going straight right through the trees.
Straight.
It's roughly
Okay.
rectangular, the whole plat.
Okay.
Yeah, there's kind of there's a slope, you know, that goes down towards a berm or a slope that goes down towards the housing to the left on there, Kim, and the road has to be above that. You know, they can't allow any stormwater from the facility to be going down into those homes that are to the left. That was one, when we had the meetings, people were very concerned about.
Outlot 2 is like the driveway access?
Correct. That would be the private road through the site.
Okay. Like I said, that the design standards on that are going to be critical in order for ease of people getting in and out. Because like I said, coming out, even you got one turn, one person going straight, every right turn is backed up behind them. I'd be more concerned they were going to go left and then go all the way around and come back to K-Pac if they want to get to Verona Road.
Well, people manage to navigate over in Orchard Point, and that's a cluster. Over there, to be honest, and we don't think this would be anywhere near as much of a, as busy and as treacherous as it is over on the other side in Orchard Point.
All depends on what goes in there.
Well, we know what's going in there.
Well, not all of it. You only know like 4 things. The
Yeah,
outlots.
you are correct. You are correct, Kim.
I mean, when Target started, that was the only thing that was there too. There was no Hy-Vee, there was no strip mall or any of the rest of that stuff up there either.
All right. Any other discussion?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess one thing regarding Kim's comment about, the businesses that we've chosen to allow in there can only thrive if they generate a lot of new traffic. I'm just remembering the time I was on the Beltline overpass when Culver's had that Curter Burger special, and there was a line of cars that was, a third of a mile long. Is there going to be like a McRib thing here, or is Chick-fil-A going to run some special and we're going to have cars backed up just waiting to go through the drive-thrus? Has that been planned for?
Are you talking internal site development? Like
No,
the actual development itself, their layout?
I'm talking about what happens if 100 people decide they absolutely need to go to Chick-fil-A all at the same time. What does McKee Road and or Fitch-Rona Road look like if there's that kind of spike in demand?
I don't know. You see that every night at 5 o'clock. You see that every night at 5 o'clock. The swarm of people going to Hy-Vee, Target, and Aldi. That's way more than 100. We've probably got thousands going there. I don't think the magnitude of this.
Well, and you can't design traffic for peak situations. Otherwise, 95% of the time, it's going to be way overbuilt.
Well, that's how we do parking lots.
Yeah, and nobody's going to use it. I mean, I think it would be more of an internal site design issue, like how many cars will fit through their drive up or, to their parking thing, than it would be on McKee and Fitch-Rona.
Yeah, back to Bill, it'd be my sincere hope that eventually when the bottom part develops and, there'll be a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people walking to these businesses versus driving.
That's an excellent segue.
Hopefully that would happen. I would ride my bike there. It's just down the street from my house. But
So we've discussed an awful lot about the motor vehicle traffic situation, and I'd like to discuss some of the pedestrian issues here. So this intersection is on the corner. I mean, there's two bus lines there. There's the D2 and the 75. With the changing in the signals, are we going to put in like a leading pedestrian interval? I didn't see anything about that in there.
The county had some comments on the timing. I don't know if they specifically dealt with pedestrian. Let me just pull up the.
They didn't identify it. That was one I put in there. Just put a ped lead time in there. When you get the 270 multi-units in there, you're gonna have a lot of peds trying to get across, and they should have a lead. Now it's gonna goof up their signal timing and all that stuff, but
Sure.
That's how it is.
It doesn't look like they do. Just it was synchronizing the signal times at side driveway 4 with McKee and Fitch-Rona.
Bill, where are the bus stops? Are they on the Quick Trip, towards Quick Trip, or on the other side of?
There's one on the east side of Fitch-Rona, just north of the intersection, and then as well on the southwest, and then on, well, actually, Tim, I don't know if you want to pull Google Maps back up, but that'll show the bus stops. There's one on McKee, just
right
east
there.
of Fitch-Rona.
That's one right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the one that's currently just a signpost in the grass.
Yeah, the sidewalk comes along Fitch-Rona and then it ends there.
Are you gonna have pedestrian crossway there too?
Looks like there is.
There is right now.
Yeah, there is now.
Right now. Yeah.
Gonna have to have a long light to get people all the way across.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So there's 24 lanes currently in and out of that intersection, and we're talking about adding several more.
24 lanes, did you say?
Altogether, in and out.
Oh,
Yes.
I see, total.
Total. So where does, I presume those extra lanes are going to take space. Does that mean that the crossing distance is necessarily going to increase, or is that space going to come from eating the medians
Taking away from the medians.
strictly? So the current distance across the street, you want to measure that for me?
It's not for the slow walker.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's,
Well,
the MUTCD says assume people walk at 3.5 feet per second, which is, 2.5 miles per hour roughly. And, so if you're going 200 feet, that's supposed to be almost a full minute, and nobody's going to put up with that if they're sitting in a car.
Well, I think you expected to move it a little more if you're walking across.
Well,
the
I mean,
I do.
and a lot of people can, but
Yeah,
there are
certain
people who can't.
You are correct, Bill. Yeah, you're correct.
If there's somebody there crossing, it's a lot easier to sit and wait than when you push the button and then there's nobody there because of whatever, and then you sit and wait and nothing, for no reason.
Right.
But I guess just before we move on to the pedestrians, just back to Madison Metro and the bus stops. So Madison Metro reached out to us to talk about transit improvements in this area. So, Ross will be working with them closely on kind of these locations down at McKee and Fitch-Rona that we just showed, and then also up here at Fitch-Rona, closer to KPEC and Anton Drive.
Yeah. A lot of people get on there at KPEC and Anton.
So that is on Madison Metro's radar and ours.
Okay.
What's their criteria to add a line? Again, I'm not sure, 270 multi housing units. If it's elderly, if it's young, if it's
I don't believe it's senior housing. It's
okay.
They don't have any control who wants to live there, but I don't think it's
okay.
It's not geared towards senior specific.
But what is their threshold in transit where they would add a line on this road? Because again, you don't have bump outs to pull out to even have bus stops.
Yeah,
along
the
Fitch-Rona.
273 units wouldn't be enough to add a line.
Okay.
It's something what we could do is just if adjust service with timings if warranted. Have it come more frequently.
And I know you don't have the money in for this, and you're not going to ask the developer, but I am concerned about the pedestrian crossing in there too. What's your threshold to put a overpass or underpass for peds? Is it crashes? Is it volume? Is it what? Do you have any? Nothing. Okay.
No.
I would tell you right now, there is very little pedestrian activity there.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for the
across
270.
Right now,
to
and
get in
there's
there.
there's plenty of people that live down. You get down to the bottom of Fitch-Rona there. There's a large amount of people that are making their way over to those grocery stores, and they cross down lower near the Quick Trip down at the bottom. That's there's easier crossing. There's the meridians, and it's much easier to cross down lower than
Up on the hill.
than up on the hill. Yeah,
They also live a lot closer to that intersection then too.
they do. Yeah, they do. But
Yeah, I didn't think he had it in the budget. I just didn't know if we have a certain threshold that it'd be something we're going to visit later if we start having safety problems in there, and I just hate to wait for that to occur.
there was down a long time ago. There was the discussion when Orchard Point. You can turn right in there or right out by the Quick Trip, and that changed the configuration. And they discussed that, and they evaluated it and said, well, we don't feel there's enough pedestrian traffic, and then with the meridian and kind of the turn lanes, felt that people could get across there. They weren't crossing, 6 lanes at a time. A couple lanes is what you have to cross at most going across there. You cross 2, and you're kind of on some meridians, and you cross the 2 again.
But you won't have that here, I think is the point that
You are
Don is
correct,
bringing
Kim.
out.
Yeah,
That
he's right.
it's, it's going to have to be monitored. I don't think the city has any specific criteria, but even like where the crossing on McKee on the east side of Verona Road that they just put the overpass for a couple years ago, it was because they had the flashing lights, and then some people stopped when you get the 2 lanes, and then somebody didn't stop, and it gets to be rear end crashes and bike pedestrian crashes at that point in time. And it is sort of sad to say that you have to wait till there's a problem till they do something about it. But I think if the city's aware that it is a long pedestrian crossing for bikes or for people walking, and keeps their eye on how the volumes of traffic or volumes of non-vehicular traffic going through there, you can be more proactive rather than reactive.
Kim and Don, let me ask you this question. I'm ignorant of this, but can it be set up that, that crossing is longer when someone pushes the button versus when no one's there?
Yeah, that would be the lead time.
Yeah.
It comes on sooner
Okay.
and then it stays on longer. But like Bill was mentioning, once you start extending that time cycle, everyone in a car waiting at those gets pretty upset, and that's where you get aggressive driving. But
Well, if someone's in the intersection, I think people are pretty good.
I just recommend him maybe think about some threshold, because as we talked maybe a couple meetings ago, I asked if you can ding or put a surcharge on developers for future infrastructure, and you said, yes, we can. I would put a surcharge on future development here, because you will need to have some sort of pedestrian underpass or overpass. So, and it won't pay for the whole thing, but it at least gets you partly there.
Yeah, that couldn't be all on the developer on the north, though.
No.
You had something like that.
Yeah, you
Orchard
don't
Point
put
was
the
a
whole
TID.
charge, you just put a surcharge to say as development goes, as that 270 unit comes in, everyone gets part of the surcharge, so.
I'm saying the businesses on the lower side here, south side, would potentially, if one is needed, it's not just people, the apartment's going across, it's going both ways, it would be, there's a large amount of apartments, senior housing, going in right behind those, and people might be walking across there. It's not, not anything. Well, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to deal with hypotheticals on the board here right now.
Tim, one other, I think I know the answer based on where Dave mentioned it, that batch plant's not going anywhere anytime soon. So in the environmental assessment, as that develop out, I don't know that I'd want to live there knowing that there's silicosis and cadmium and arsenic that those batch plants produce. Oh yeah, most of the wind is from the west, so you'd be safe
The
until a
residents
nor'easter comes. But
the residents would love for that to close down, the residents that live off Chesapeake, because, sand is always blowing up there in the concrete plant. But I think it'll happen. I think Bob Shea is getting closer to, and maybe the city gives them an incentive. We would like to see, we would like to see a neighborhood there or something, versus that plant there. But I can't argue it is a good place to do business. And he was there. Thing I would add is he was there before any of these neighborhoods. My neighborhood was built. People used to complain, well, he's blasting, when they were quarrying there. And I said, well, he was there way before, I bought my house, and granted, it's no excuse for irresponsible operation. It might not be as long as you think. I think it could be. Okay. I think within 10 years, maybe shorter.
How much land's got to be dedicated to parking there? Or isn't there?
I had that, my final question. I didn't see any parkland.
It was written in the, there was verbiage in the packet. It showed the fee, and it came out to, 1 point whatever million dollars in lieu of parkland dedication.
Okay.
So whatever the charge is per unit.
I would just throw it, it's likely if the lower part would get developed, that's where there would be some sort of park facility in the lower, where the quarry.
I think it's on page 17 is where they talk about their parkland dedication.
Yeah,
And
section 3 of the
Yeah.
subdivision improvement agreement, there's a paragraph 3.01's
Yeah.
the parkland dedication, and then 3.02 is your
Yeah.
park improvement fee payment.
I'm
think that's
surprised
where
they
I'd go,
wouldn't
but-
take credit for that pond that's sitting out there.
That's my dog training pond. I think
Well,
it's
no,
gonna go
but
away.
unless they're gonna drain it and make it go away, that'd be perfect.
I think it is going away, but I can't
Wow.
say. It was a pond when they filled in after where they had quarried out. They left a low spot for the water to accumulate in there, and it used to be really nice. I used to swim in there, but now been enough ducks and geese that there's too many. It's not nice anymore. It used to be nice water.
So they are not proposing to build any parkland, it's all fee in lieu of?
Right now, yes.
Yes, for phase 1, the 273 multifamily.
But something would, Kim, I'm not the developer, but, I would envision there would be some park space, either above or below, at some point.
Yeah, maybe internal to the development. A lot of
That's-
larger
yeah,
apartment
we're not gonna
complexes
make-
have that.
We're not gonna make everyone go all the way up to Jamestown Hegel, that, but that's to be, that's future planning. I want to try to keep myself on track
I just didn't want to see a
here.
lot of land sitting there not being used like it happened out here where Sain Road goes across. We got all that parkland we've never even used. They only mow the grass half the time on it.
Yeah, you're right. Well, whatever parkland would go in eventually, I think would be well used here. Anything else the board would like? This
Yeah, I got a
good
couple more.
discussion here.
Tim, I didn't see any mention of putting bus shelters in at those stops. Is that a possibility?
At this time, we don't have any plans. The city could look into that. We do have some extras, I believe, so that's something that the city could potentially.
We have one on King James Way.
And I think a couple may be coming off Fish Hatchery Road as part of the BRT, because the BRT will be constructing totally new shelters, so we could look to relocate those at that time when this development would then be up and running. Kind of the timing actually works out well.
Yeah, one on King James Way is unused. The bus doesn't go by there anymore, so that would be it's perfectly good. It could be moved. I think it could be moved. I'm speaking for Tim here. I shouldn't, By the time you take it apart sometimes and move it, it's more expensive, but I think we do have some spare shelters.
Regarding the multi-use path, how much space will there be between the path and the road? Because quite often they're like right up next to each other, and if you're in your car and you're going to make a right-hand turn, you're going to look to your left, and it's a two-way multi-use path. Somebody's going to get run into. Whereas if we're able to find the space to back that path up so there's like a full car length between the east end of the path and the west end of the road, the car traffic will look both ways at the path, pull forward, and then get to the road.
Yeah, this multi-use path's going to have a terrace in between it. It's not going to be up against the road. And I believe the west side of that path would be a foot off the right-of-way line. So that would leave you, however many feet in between back of curb and the multi-use path.
I think you're looking at the path essentially where the sidewalk is, making it wider towards the development.
Correct.
I'm trying to think exactly how wide, from the street to where the sidewalk is now.
So it sounds like if you're
it's not a car length.
No, so if you're in a car trying to get onto the road, you're likely going to be blocking the multi-use path, right?
I think that might be likely.
And And so, I mean, and that's the situation I'd like to avoid is people are likely not going to look to their right or, if they're making a left-hand turn, they're not going to look to their left. They're going to see whether it's safe. I don't know. I feel like these are, we have limited transportation corridor and we try and pack everything in there, and in doing so we're always putting pedestrians and bikers at conflict points with people driving 2 and 3 ton vehicles.
I think you have pretty good sight lines though, you're going up that hill where the path is, I don't see a lot of things in front of you, that everyone can see pretty well there, and the biker would still have put a 10-foot path there where it's a vast improvement now over the 4-foot riding on the road, when they go up there.
Yeah.
So, that the path will make it much better than it is today. I understand, that issue, but I think overall we're improving things with the path. What else, Bill?
There was some verb under 1.014C. It talked about a left turn only lane from McKee Road to site driveway number 4. Does that mean the left lane running north from McKee? Because McKee, you don't turn from McKee into driveway 4, you turn from Fitchburg into driveway 4. Construct a left turn only lane. Okay, so the left turn only lane extends from McKee Road to site driveway number 4. It's not a left turn from McKee into site driveway 4. Okay, all right.
Yep.
What else, board? This is a good. Do you have anything else?
No, I mean, it's a big development, and it seems like a lot of thought and effort went into it. It's just city staff is going to have to be very diligent in looking at things that come in and looking at traffic and that kind of thing. And there's going to be a lot of education. I mean, that's it. There's education for vehicles as well as for bikes and pedestrians as to how to make the whole thing safe. But it's a big empty space in Fitchburg that, I mean, everybody should have expected is going to be developed at some point. So we need to do the best job that we can. And I think that they're trying with this subdivision agreement. And like I said, I feel that within the parameters that are here, it's doable. But city staff is going to have to be diligent in reviewing the widths on the driveways and the streets and the offsets and like you said, the bike pedestrian facilities and that type of thing. But overall, I think it's, it needs to be developed, and it's probably a good development for that area.
I like it's infill. Mm-hmm. It's infill versus plowing up a cornfield,
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, much better.
Are the bus stops going to be relocated at all?
As part of this project, no. But as I mentioned, Madison Metro reached out to us to improve that. So Ross will be having conversations separate from this project for improvements to those bus stop locations.
They don't have a layout for that other development to the north to figure out how the folks are going to get down to those bus stops. They'd have to go on the Fitchburg right and then turn left or right on McKee to jump on the bus.
You mean the 273?
Yep. Yep.
unit.
There's no easement between those businesses that pedestrians can go down to meet to the bus stop that is currently there.
Yeah, there's an existing sidewalk
Right.
that runs there now. So the new development's going right here.
Oh, it's up there.
And they'll,
Okay.
They can get on the bus right.
right, and there's also
To the east. I thought it was farther west, the development, but okay.
bus stops here, and then the sidewalk they can utilize to get down to here until the multi-use path gets constructed.
The bus stop down at the bottom of Fitchburg Road is quite heavily used with the redesign by Madison Metro and it shifted some things around and most of the time you go by that intersection, someone is waiting to get on the bus or and I think it would increase, certainly will increase with that development of those units. Anything else? Okay. All right. With that, then I'll call the vote. What was the resolution number again? I've lost. 18124. Okay. We'll do a roll call here. All in favor of resolution R 18124. We'll do a roll call first. Don, aye or nay?
I say no,
Don
unless
is
they fix those intersections.
Don is nay. Okay. Bill?
Nay.
Nay. I am aye. Dave Wilborn?
Yes.
Aye. Kim Lobdell?
Yes.
Aye. Passes 4-3. 3-2, I'm sorry, 3-2. Excellent discussion. I thank you all for taking the time to read this over so thoroughly and come with your list of questions. That's what, that's what the public is expecting this board to do. Okay. So next, I believe our next Board of Public Works will be January 6th. Sound right? Okay. Board of Public Works would be January 6th, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then. A
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Don, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dave Wilborn. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.